Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you may be across the nation or around the world. Once again, you're listening to the VMware Communities Roundtable podcast. This is podcast number 626. My name is Eric Nilsson. With me today, I have my favorite co-host, Corey Romero. Today is Wednesday, November 2nd, 2022. On the show today, we're going to be talking about vSphere 8. We are lucky enough to have Himanshu Singh, Director of vSphere Product Marketing. We're going to be talking about vSphere 8. We're excited to go to VMware Explore in Europe next week. Super excited about that. Super excited about vSphere 8 being GA. So we thought we'd have Himanshu here to talk through what's going on with that and just generally spend some time with vSphere 8. But before we do that, let's talk to Corey Romero, talk a little bit about vExperts. Corey, how you doing today?
Doing well, Eric. Doing well. The weather in Utah is crazy. We've got snow all the way till next Tuesday. So pretty interesting. Yeah, so I'm excited. I leave for Spain tomorrow. So excited to see all the vExperts and all of our customers. If you missed last week's podcast or missed one of my emails, the vExpert applications are open. And we're going to have our submission period, which means that you need to finalize your application between December 12th and January 13th. January 14th is when we'll start doing our voting, and that'll go into February, and we will be done by February 10th and announce all of the vExpert awards. So make sure you're doing the activities. There's plenty of stuff to do around Explore, write your blogs about your favorite sessions while you're at Explore, after Explore, and start creating that content. Monday night, we are doing a vExpert meetup. And that's going to be November 7th at 7 p.m. And that's going to be at the Wild Rover Irish Pub. And that's just going to be a V beers for the vExperts. So, yeah, excited to see everybody.
So Wild Rose on Monday night. I will definitely be there. I'm looking forward to that, even though I'm sure we'll all be jet lagged. Looking forward to seeing everybody, getting on a plane myself this Friday. So I'll get there Saturday. Going to be at CTAB, the Customer Technical Advisory Board, all day Sunday. So excited to see some of our big customers there as well. And then, Corey, I know we're giving away the Nooks, and me and Bill Roth have, I think, 4 sessions over the course of Monday through Thursday, talking about how to run vSphere 8 on the Nook, right? So we have some examples. Again, we're giving away all the experts that's registered an Intel Nook home system, so that there's no reason not to have a home lab if you're a vExpert. And then we're going to take you through how to get vSphere running on that guy, how to run Tanzu on that guy, and then we have some home automation. I'm going to do a little bit in this session, so I think the session is 16 slides, power session. Going to go through quick how to get your home lab set up, running vSphere 8, running Tanzu on it, and then being able to write some C code in Microsoft Visual Studio to do some data collection on sensors that you can connect to the Nook as well. So should be really exciting, exhausting, fun time next week. I hope to see everybody from Europe there and say hello to everybody from the Netherlands and geez, all the vExperts all over the place. So super excited about that. So speaking about, home lab machines, finally vSphere 8 is here, which is why we thought it would be fun to talk a little bit about vSphere in general and vSphere 8. So Himanshu, welcome to the show. I know you were on our podcast a year or two ago or 3, who knows, time flies. Welcome to the show. We always ask people to introduce yourself, how long you've been at VMware, and tell us a little bit about your history of working in IT. How did you get here? How did you get where you are?
Hey, Eric. Hey, Corey. Good to be here. It's been, I think last time I was in this podcast was a few years ago. One of the vSphere releases, I can't remember which one, maybe 6.7, I think. But 6.7 is one of those, it's almost like the 5.5 release has become basically like the big release where everybody's on 6.7, but has been for a long time. Anyway, so about myself, so I run product marketing for vSphere. Been doing that for a few years now, and been focused on vSphere for about, I would say, close to 7 years. And before that, I spent about 3 years in in the vRealize business, a cloud management BU. So almost 10 years at VMware now. I've been I think in terms of my career, I've been doing like product management and product marketing, kind of, back and forth, so to say. But for the past, I was, 6, 7 years, it's all been about kind of product marketing, really focusing on that. So enjoying, getting the message out to people and helping people realize all the benefits of vSphere. And we got like all sorts of cool stuff happening in vSphere. So really, really exciting time with this new release, and especially this year with all the new offers in vSphere and whatnot, and we can talk all about that. Absolutely. So
yeah, but before we get to that, I always like to kind of go old school a little bit. For me, like I'm a big hardware fan. I love systems. I tell people I still work at a hardware company, right? It's just we do virtual hardware, right? We're a machine building. We build machines. Most of us have built x86 server game machines that are like, we're very geeky, hands-on hardware IT guys because we like building systems. And I feel like vSphere still is this enabler of building machines, right? They're virtual machines, but they're still just machines that do compute workload. They do things. And I think that's historically I think vSphere still is the premier way to build machines these days, even though we talk cloud and we talk all the crazy stuff that's happening in the IT industry and, the hyperscaler, places in the cloud that you can go do this. There's still a lot of people. I mean, vSphere is still the premier way you build machines for hosting IT services in the industry, right? I mean, this is still a flagship way to build out your data center.
Yeah, and so and I wouldn't even kind of think about just the data center, right? Because if you see where is vSphere right now, you've got vSphere's got what 500,000 customers around the world. It is still growing, which is something to say about a product that's so mature. It's so permeated in the industry. It's like basically the market leader since forever, and it's still growing. So what that tells you is it is absolutely the premier way, the best way to kind of build machines, build core kind of compute infrastructure in your data center. But over the past, I would say, few years, vSphere has made sure that it is, catering to the changing needs of everybody, our audience, our customers, our install base, because people are using vSphere on top of like core hyperscaler. If you look at VMware Cloud on AWS or Google, Azure or whoever, the core platform is vSphere. That's what VMware Cloud is. The foundation of VMware Cloud essentially. Or if you look at how people are doing, there's vSphere for desktop. They're supporting that. There's vSphere on the edge use cases where we're making sure that we're supporting, telco and those kind of industries as well. So as the kind of the fundamental foundation of IT infrastructure, I think vSphere is just going gangbusters in terms of building on the legacy it has and the technology leadership VMware has and the innovation and everything, while kind of catering to all these new use cases and making sure that it's one of those things where hey, you wanna build virtual machines, great, go here, build whatever you're interested in. Running containers instead, absolutely, vSphere is the platform for that. You want to build some AI ML workloads, vSphere is the platform for that. We've got a fantastic partnership with NVIDIA and all that stuff with the AI ready platform. So like all these new use cases keep coming up, and it's kudos to the engineering team where we have at VMware that they're able to make sure that vSphere is incorporating all these new use cases. And at the end of the day, it's all about making sure that wherever customers are and different users in the community, whatever the use cases are, that vSphere is able to cater to that. No matter you are a large or smaller organization, that there's a flavor of vSphere that makes sense for you.
Okay, I got to also, while I'm in throwback mode, because we talked a little bit about it, I'm going to spend a little time in the throwback mode. The HTML client, right? the HTML client now has finally climbed out of the doghouse, right? And nobody now thinks about the Flash client of days of old. They don't talk about the Windows. Everybody is now completely acceptance of the HTML client. In fact, I use ESXi all the time. I use vCenter. I have machines in San Jose and Rack that I use. And the thing is rock solid now. Are you finally happy that the HTML5 client now has now become, I would say, as rock solid and as beautiful as the original Windows client was back in the old days?
Yeah, and if you remember, there was so much
pain,
spirited feedback.
Right.
Let's say about
number
do
one
not
thread
take
on
my
VMTN.
client away, right?
Right.
So everything has to go through that evolution, and I'm just so glad. And at this point, like it's been probably a couple of years since we've had like significant conversation about the client anywhere.
Right,
That's when
right.
you know
That's
that hey,
right.
everybody just
Everybody's
become the
happy.
default. It does what you need it to do.
We can actually have this conversation now and have happy smiles on our face, right? And so
That's right.
everybody asks like, oh, what are you doing next? Cloud, this and that. I just want to say thank you, congratulations. We have a wonderful now client that everybody seems to be happy with. And when I log into my ESX server now, I just go, oh, there it is, the blue screen. I log in, it works. Here's all my machines. Here's everything. It scales. It's dragging. It's like, yeah, nice job on that. Isn't that a wonderful feeling? And I think there's a lot of people that run it that are really happy now, right? And we don't talk about that, right? So when new
one thing I'll
releases
call
come
out though.
right?
We talk about like, hey, all the work that our engineering team is doing and all, but if you look at like it was available as a fling for such a long time,
Right.
and all the feedback that we got from the community, like it helped it get to where it's at. So like I gotta make sure that we thank the community of everybody who used the fling, gave us feedback, tried it out, all sorts of things, and we were able to get it to where it's at now.
Yeah, rock solid. Then the other one that I'll we'll do throwback Wednesday here was the installation and upgrade process, right? Like, wow, yeah, that has significantly improved as well, right? Where you can actually move and upgrade relatively easily. Like it's now, the license management improvements that we saw in vSphere 7, right, are now there. vSphere 8, I'm not sure it moves that forward as well. Yeah. And so the whole license management upgrade process is now something that you can do on a given ESX server in less than an hour, right? Like it's up and running and everything is smooth. And so I got to say that some of this stuff now that we used to have pain experience with it, now we just take for granted, and it's amazing that new releases come out and we have that in place now. GUI.
Yeah, and in fact, anybody who's still kind of running like a 6.x type of version right now, first of all, it's kind of out of support, so you should be on 7. But as you get to 7, and then from there you see like what's the upgrade process, there's a huge difference, a massive jump in terms of the overall user experience when you do any kind of updates and upgrades once you get on 7. So yeah, definitely worth the experience and all the effort that's gone into it. And with, of course, with 8, it's taken it up a notch, and all sorts of RDU as reduced downtime upgrade that's come in as well, and that just takes it to a whole new level.
Right. And then my final one on my list of old school throwback is performance, right? Is performance and now just having seamless performance on my VMs, right? I don't have any issues. I get, my workloads run as fast. I don't have much of a performance tax. And I know that every season you guys work on performance, and you have hardware acceleration now by most of the 2 chip vendors are out there. That's seamless. The hardware compatibility list is not such a thing that I fear. Every time there's a new release of vSphere, I start to get nervous that my machines are going to not be there, right? And I think we all exist in that space a little bit. 5 or 6 year old machines now get a little dicey, but I think we worry less about the hardware compatibility list at the same time, which is also nice.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the times are changing, right? So we're moving along with it and making things easier.
Right, right. Okay, so that's kind of throwback time, right? Like vSphere, and I do want to pay homage to the notion that no, a lot of us do run vSphere. We love vSphere, and we're not moving every workload to the cloud. We got racks with machines in them, and so it's good. But let's talk now vSphere. You talked a little bit about Edge, which is kind of cool, and the telcos that are happening. What do you want to talk about from a standpoint of where 8 is going? Does 8 have a theme? What's the main theme that people should know about?
Yeah, so let me talk about the 8 theme, but just want to address a comment you made, right? Because you talked about moving to the cloud, and not everything was. We absolutely want people to move to the cloud on vSphere, right? So you can be on the cloud, but you can be on vSphere. That's the
Right.
idea with the whole VMware cloud. So that's the point of. And I think I was trying to make earlier is it doesn't matter like what location you have. Like you need to figure out what deployment location makes sense based on your use case, the application, what it needs, and latency and performance and whatever. It can still run on vSphere, and so you can still use all the tool sets that you're familiar with, and you can still have the experience that you really like, the robustness and the stability that vSphere gives you, and you can have it in whatever location you want and whatever flavor of cloud you want. And that's the beauty of vSphere today. And that's it takes a lot for it to get here to be able to give that experience, and that consistency across the board. And if you've been listening to like the kind of the VMware overall messaging, it's all about that multi-cloud experience, which is very consistent and giving you that choice. So absolutely. Now coming back to
Now, I will throw that. I'll throw in there too that Hock Tam, the Broadcom CEO. I know that the acquisition's still going through its process, so we don't know it's going to complete whatever. But he produced a blog article where he actually listed his vision of VMware's technology and how he expects to be able to utilize it if the deal goes through. Which he kind of listed multi-cloud, right? He listed Tanzu, and he listed a third one. I forget what the third one was in his blog article that has been trending this whole week, because I think he announced it on Monday. It's Wednesday now. This blog article where he actually highlighted the fact that, he's working with enterprise customers, and the customers he's talked to, they're giving him this same message, which is, no, we are going multi-cloud. We are in the cloud. We're starting to go to multi-cloud. We see vSphere as a solution and VMware as a solution to this. They also see Kubernetes and Tanzu as a solution for this. And I forget what his third one was that he talked about, but all of them were kind of the standard messaging that I think that he spent some time on price and performance and value.
That's
right. Yeah. And so I thought all of that was aligned to what you're saying here, which is, as much as I love my own rack and my own running my vSphere, and cloud's expensive to me, I do have AWS instances that we run, but we are, even my own self, just running community and vExpert programs and such. I say me, but it's like our programs. We are managing a cloud environment, an on-prem environment, a rack in San Jose environment. And where do we put that workload is kind of price driven and cloud health driven, where, we're actually looking at how much does it cost us, right, to run these things. But it is all vSphere enabled, and that is super nice.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, and I'm glad as the Broadcom team and Hock Tam specifically are kind of moving forward with this, like they are making sure that they understand VMware, and when they understand VMware customers,
right.
so that as we go forward, they can continue meeting those needs, because it would of course be detrimental to Broadcom themselves if they make mistakes in this case. Because of course the whole point of the acquisition is to grow the value,
grow the value,
combined company and everything, right? So they definitely want to do right by customers.
I honestly like what he's talking about, right? Like, I like that Broadcom brings also a technology view. Like, they are a very heavy technology company, and you might or might not like their way they handle their technology, but they are a very technology focused company. And I think it lends well to VMware because we are a very technology focused company as well. So it aligns itself. So let's talk about vSphere 8 and kind of the messaging that you are going forward with, which is, the multi-cloud. What do we actually have in 8 that's interesting?
Yeah. So, so if you think about how vSphere has kind of evolved, over time, it's basically become that kind of a ubiquitous like workload platform that the base layer for everything you want to build on and wherever you want to build on. So we talk about vSphere as like the enterprise workload platform, for all modern enterprises. And there's a I think two or three kind of key areas where we think about what vSphere 8 is really delivering value in, right? So we talk about performance as kind of the big new thing. So Project Monterey, which has been going on for a couple of years, is now kind of coming to market through vSphere 8. All the idea of vSphere now being able to run on DPUs, where you can get a significant kind of, you can offload a bunch of infrastructure services that are running on the CPU. You can offload that to the DPU, which basically gives your applications a significant amount of performance boost overall. And consequently, because you're doing that offload, you're saving a lot of your CPU cores in that case. So there is, cost savings and performance improvement at the same time as well. So that's very interesting. It's a very new kind of field, and people are kind of wetting their feet a little bit in the whole DPU space right now. So it's new,
right?
But it's kind of good to see some of that technology innovation and leadership.
Is most of that offloading the networking traffic in where NSX runs in vSphere now, and is that kind of one of those strategies is to then push NSX compute requirements down into the smart NICs?
Yeah, so the idea is we were starting with networking on function offload essentially, right? So you could add NSX on top of it, or you could basically offload a bunch of like the VDS, VMware distributed switch services as well. So
the firewall stuff, right.
Without NSX as well, right? So I think the initial use case of, I would say, like phase one of what's come out through Project Monterey is around security and networking. And I think as we go forward, you can think of it as expanding into, for example, storage services and those kind of things as well. And so there's a lot of, I think, very, very broad applicability of how DPUs are going to be used as we go forward, and how the industry and how all customers kind of adopt it, right? So it's very interesting to see, and it's really good because, from a VMware perspective and a vSphere perspective, we're making sure that we're working with, the NVIDIAs and AMD, Pensando, and Intel, and all the on the OEM side, all the big ones, right? Dell, HP, Lenovo, everybody, to make sure that these are all like available to customers as soon as possible. So really cool to see some of that. So that's kind of I think one of the areas in terms of supercharging performance for your workloads, etc. The another thing that kind of comes to mind just on that performance piece is customers who are looking at like AI ML workloads. We made significant improvements in terms of some of the scale that we support. So with like vGPUs and number of pass-through devices, and also we like basically doubled our support in terms of number of devices and vGPUs supported. And so that also helps to be able to run much more complex models. You can do a lot of train the models much faster and those kind of things as well. So any customers looking into those specific use cases, there's a lot of value there just from a performance perspective.
You had mentioned NVIDIA and it did connect to that. I have a question on that. Are a lot of those customers, are they doing that on-prem in their own data center because they're building, machine learning, or are they taking that into the cloud? Are they taking that closer to the edge because the data and the learning capacity is in the edge? Have you seen any of the architectures on some of this stuff to see where vSphere runs when it comes to this kind of AI NVIDIA enablement?
Yeah, so if you look at the industry today, predominantly a lot of the AI ML workloads, the work that's happening, and in fact, even with the DPU stuff, it's all happening, primarily in the cloud first, because that environment is available, and it's very easy for the hyperscalers to make all that available in the core infrastructure. So I think that's still predominantly, like, probably the biggest use case. And then after that is, customers who are running it on-prem because of whatever specific requirements they might have. If you think about larger enterprises or organizations that are very research focused, they tend to kind of do that on an on-premise environment, and traditionally they've done these kind of workloads. But even with HPC, for example, they've done it as bare metal. And now they're kind of, seeing the value of, hey, if I virtualize, there's a lot more I can get out of it while I can preserve the performance that I really need. And so as technology from a vSphere and our partners kind of, has come up and matured,
It's
folks are really seeing that value.
It is true. It's the classic. If I haven't virtualized it, I'm locked into a single workloads that are pre-configured with the OSs configured a certain way for that workload, and so all these vGPUs that I've got in that instance or in the cloud is locked to that. If you're running a bare metal, is locked to that architecture and that those configuration variables and all that. Where if you virtualize it, then you can swap workloads in and out, just like VMs, right? You just swap them in, run it on those resources from X amount of time, and then swap them out, got another workload in, run it. So it is like a sophisticated version of P2V, right? All over again.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It's just, it's flavors of that same old kind of use case that keep coming
right.
up.
Right. I see that. That makes sense. That's logical. I could see that, and I know that some of my sons is a AI person to come out of Carnegie Mellon, writes code for Facebook and all that, and they're always looking at AI workloads and where to run them and how to get the most performance and the most flexibility out of what they're building. And he's moved on from Facebook, so he's into other spaces now. But it's very, very much how quickly can we get CPU compute resources to a problem. These projects come up pretty quick, and then they want to run them for half a year, and they don't even want to have to spend time building out the infrastructure. They just go to AWS and they just license it, right, or run it, pay for it. So it is interesting dynamic. Okay, so that's one interesting place. vSphere 8's accelerating. I know we did work with an NVIDIA and others on that. What are some of the other things that come out of this?
Yeah, so one of the other things is around, it's actually related to not just vSphere 8, but some of the announcements we made in the June-July timeframe when we brought out a new, I would say, flavor from the vSphere product family, which is vSphere Plus, right? And the idea was, hey, you can take your existing kind of vSphere environment and you can connect it to this cloud console and be able to kind of manage everything from the cloud and be able to have a centralized view of your kind of distributed multi vCenter kind of environment and have this one kind of control plane, and then be able to also consume a bunch of cloud services from that same console, right? So you could do like cloud-based DR, you could do ransomware protection, you could do like capacity planning and those kind of things as well. And so we brought this offering called vSphere Plus because it seems to be that everybody is coming out with Disney Plus and ESPN Plus.
It used to be Pro 5 years ago. Everything was Pro. Now everything is Plus, right? And I think it is. Right. Yeah, I think it is the cable companies that are making that happen. But yeah, that's pretty interesting that they do that, and this strategy, because we've had people on the podcast talking about vSphere 7 Plus, right? And we talked all about it, but it reminds me of what I was talking about, where the HTML5 client came out, and we all scratched our head and goes, but it's missing this and it's missing that, and we don't know sure we're going to use it, whatever. But these are one of these long-term investments where as you add more features to it, right? So the vSphere 7 Plus, basically gave me a single pane of glass where I can see my other ESX servers, and that's kind of nice because I can connect them, and it's a cloud offering, and yay for me, right? But I can see that just like the HTML5 client got more robust and added more features, and pretty soon you can do even more than you could do on the original piece x80, the Windows client. I can see this becoming a very, very powerful web interface that gets me to all kind of cloud services that as we add those in, they will become powerful.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's the thing, right? We're starting with some of the basic capabilities. You can look at inventory, you can provision VMs, you can, security posture, like all that kind of good stuff, capacity, visibility, planning. So you can do all that, basic stuff. If you need to do, you can obviously go to your individual VC, and, there's a lot richer capabilities, of course, available. Right. And we'll keep adding, as you said, over time to make this kind of the default for you to go to. Now, one of the very interesting use cases that people have really responded very positively to is with vSphere Plus. One of the is around some of that kind of reduced downtime upgrade. So traditionally, if you have, let's say, and it's about basically VC lifecycle management, right? So if you typically want to upgrade a VC, it can take up to an hour plus, depending on how much you have and how much pre-upgrade steps you have and whatnot. Now, in this case with vSphere Plus, what we're doing is whenever you want to do an upgrade, first you'll just get like you get on your phone, hey, software update is available. You get that message. You click on it, and basically what it does is it'll set up a duplicate VC, a whole new instance separately, in parallel. So there's no downtime during all that kind of stuff. And it's only when you're actually doing the flipping from one to the other, is restarting services on the new one. That's when you have like maybe 3, 4, 5 minutes kind of a downtime. And so from that perspective, like this is one of those things that's like the gift that's going to keep on giving in terms of ongoing upgrades and lifecycle management of VCs. And so folks kind of realize, hey, this is actually quite valuable on a like daily basis or even, on an ongoing basis. So that was pretty interesting. I think just a kind of a key small feature, key use case that kind of shines through. In terms
I was talking at CTAB to the Starbucks guys, and they're looking at designing how to do multi-cloud, right, and how to actually use cloud health, right, which is financial management, right, to actually look at costing across the different cloud services, right, and then building up management interactions that allow them to control workload deployment to the multi-clouds based on costing, real-time costing data that's coming in from the different cloud vendors, right? And so you can see like over time, that's an example of what you would get in a plus environment, right? Where you have all of these services, including cloud health and others, area management capabilities, where you can actually manage your workloads being deployed, see costing, and you're truly operating a multi-cloud environment that gives you all the data on your costing, all the data on your uptime, how you're managing workloads that get provisioned, how you're upgrading machines that need to be upgraded. All of this comes together in this true multi-cloud environment, right? So
exactly. Yeah. And so we're looking forward to adding, cloud health and so on these other services onto the kind of the vSphere Plus platform and available through that cloud console. By the way, this cloud console is the same that is being used by VMware Cloud on AWS and et cetera, et cetera. So the next step for us, or the current kind of roadmap, is, hey, we want to get that integration done. So if you're using VMC and you have an on-prem vSphere, you can basically manage all of that from this cloud console, and just makes it seamless, and it's one place to go to for your entire multi-cloud footprint.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And so for people that are listening, I always think, if you haven't played with Plus yet, and I know you have to set up a cloud environment. I don't know if I assume there's costs to that, right? Like where you switch some of your vSphere to the Plus environment, and then you have to pay some amount of dollar for that Plus environment because it is a hosted environment in the cloud. But I think it's worth, if you're listening to this podcast, I think it's worth spending time in. If you haven't played with Plus yet, you want to definitely get there and set up a Plus environment so that you can start learning, because this is one of these things that's, going to be useful, just like the web client was back when we first came out with it, right? Like, because a lot of people stayed with the Windows client for a lot of time, but over time we got there. And I think this is one of these investment environments that if you want to get exposure to cloud and cloud architects lessons, this is a place to go for that. One of the things that I struggle with from a IT perspective is, we're becoming cloud. We need to all become cloud admins, right? Like the idea of being an IT admin in a data center is kind of like, that career is going to run short over time. You're going to still need some. There's still going to be instances where you're going to run a data center, but we see a lot of people becoming cloud admins. And so when you go to Plus, and you go to vSphere and you go to ARIA, is this going to get you ready to be a cloud admin?
Yes. So the idea is, if you think about like how the VI admin persona, like everybody has, how much impact vSphere has had on people's careers. It's right. About, hey, taking your kind of expanding your sphere of influence as you're being able to do a bunch of newer things. So you can manage your compute, okay, you can manage your storage. This certain aspects of networking management you can do as well as a vSphere admin. You can manage your cloud environment, as we look at multi-cloud, so being a cloud admin. Well, you can actually, as you're going into potentially a DevOps, SRE, or a platform right. engineer type of role, you can actually do all your manage your Kubernetes workloads with vSphere as well, using the same kind of familiar kind of tool set that you're used to. So it's fascinating to see, depending on how people are thinking about their careers. And you want to focus on the cloud admin side or the DevOps
or the
side.
DevOps side, right? Yeah.
You can actually do that while staying and leveraging like stuff that you've learned over the years. It's pretty cool to see that.
Nice. So you also obviously I'm just throwing questions at you now. This is not stage, but like if you want to get involved with vSphere today and you don't have any money, but you do have a Nook or you have an XA. If you got $200, you can buy a Nook. Today we got them on our site. You can go play with that. You can get a $200 machine. You can go get vSphere 8. It's not vSphere 8, it's ESXi, right? And ESXi is free. You can get a free license, a forever license on our website, and you can get this thing and run. And nobody ever talks about entry level here because we're talking cloud and big stuff. But if we should encourage our bloggers and experts to talk about the fact that ESXi is still out there. You can still get this free, put it on a tiny system, and go, spend some time learning this stuff, right?
Yeah, absolutely. ESXi 8, the free hypervisor version, is absolutely available. And, because vSphere 8 just reached IA, initial availability, what was it, last week? Or maybe a week ago, 10 days ago or so, right? So, it's out there, available to download, and the free hypervisor ESXi 8 is there. So absolutely, get it and
you can spin it up and
get it running.
Right. And I know that we're working with the education system for like college kids. We're getting that out to the college kids, vMug Advantage, where you can go, because we sometimes we talk big cloud and we forget there's entry level kids coming out of college that want to be administrators, data scientists, whatever. They get involved with this. So it's also good to do that. Okay. So other things, any other things that you think are worthwhile talking about when it comes to vSphere 8?
Yeah, so a couple of things, right? So we talked about like the cloud benefits and the cloud services piece. We talked about the supercharging your performance and all that, the DPUs and AIML. Then there's a couple other kind of key areas. One is, a bunch of like operational efficiency type of improvements, right? So there's things like we made improvements in terms of having shorter maintenance windows and all that. We made improvements with DRS, being able to leverage kind of VMMR, etc. Just being able to iteratively make improvements in existing kind of capabilities, existing features, etc. So there's a long list of those. Just day-to-day operational efficiency, which actually has a significant impact on an ongoing basis. It may not be like a big flashy feature, but it matters on a day-to-day basis because you use it so often. So there's a whole bunch of those things that are there. And then the last one I was going to call out is,
and before you call out the last one, I will say, if you guys follow William Lamb tweets one of these little cute operational efficiency type features about once a day, right? For the last week or two, he's been going, oh my God, they finally implemented XYZ. And then he tweets it out and then we get like 30 retweets on, and he's been doing that on a daily basis, right? Because, he's been obviously using vSphere 8 and playing, and he's discovering things that have been fixed that are just nagging things that people have complained about for the last X number of years. And he's like, oh, this is going to save so much time. And people join in going, oh my God, I've been asking for this for decades. So like not decades, but you get the point that there are, 100 different optimizations in there that if you're running a data center, you're going to be happy finding these things, right?
Yeah, that's the thing with like, it's a major release, right? So it's going to have hundreds and hundreds of features that came in and it fixes and improvements. And, we get on the main stage or we put a big blog out, but, we just can't cover all that.
Yeah, you can't cover it all.
I'm so glad William is out there tweeting every day and sharing it.
Right. So you had another one that you were going to get to then.
Yeah. So we were talking about DevOps earlier, right? And so the other one is around, how, so we've got Tanzu Kubernetes Grid is available. That's, integrated with vSphere in terms of the vSphere with Tanzu offering and everything. And now what they've done is they've integrated all the different versions or flavors of Tanzu Kubernetes Grid TKG in the TKG 2.0 offering. And so that's available as part of vSphere 8. And one other thing as part of this is, that's more focused on the DevOps persona as well, is something called the CCI, or the Cloud Consumption Interface. And this is something that's available, I guess, exclusively in the vSphere Plus offering, essentially. And the idea there is, hey, it's a Kubernetes it's an interface that is available from an API perspective and a UI perspective as well. and it gives everybody a nice Kubernetes interface to manage and consume all types of VMware infrastructure, right? And so the intent is you've got the cloud console that becomes like the one place where for the admin persona to kind of go and manage everything from. You've got the cloud consumption interface where the DevOps and some developer persona, they can go there as well, like kind of, manage all that provision services and infrastructure and all that. So it just gives, I think, different personas the experience that they prefer in terms of like what they really use and how they want to consume it and how they want to do stuff. It's pretty cool. We did some demos of the CCI actually at Explore, and one of the really cool things is that you might be more comfortable using a UI interface versus like going into YAML and kind of doing any kind of declarative programming there. And you can use the UI, set stuff up. It'll automatically generate a YAML file right next to it, and then you can share that file with the developer or DevOps person who can then make tweaks to it directly because they prefer it to doing it that way versus through a GUI. And so I thought that was pretty cool. It's just making sure that we're meeting people where they are and how they prefer to do stuff versus kind of forcing anybody to learn something like net new just because, hey, the product team wants to do it this way. So yeah, I thought that was cool.
So that's kind of cool. CCI, Cloud Consumption Interface. Question for you on that. If I have, I obviously have ESX servers in the cloud, that's going to make sense. It's in the vSphere Plus, panel. And now the interface allows me to programmatically direct workloads to things that are in that environment. If I have an ESX server that's in my data center in a rack, can I connect that into the CCI so that workloads can also be targeted to, on-prem and off-prem in cloud, or is that?
Yeah, so I should have clarified this earlier. The vSphere Plus offering doesn't mean that you have to put your ESXi in the cloud.
Right, I've understood that. That makes sense, and most people understand that. But for the CCI, will it enable that API to target workloads in vSphere 8, regardless of whether it's in cloud or on-prem?
Correct. So the workload is always on-prem. That's the whole point of vSphere Plus. So your workloads and your ESXi are all on-prem. All you're doing is you're absolutely not touching anything. You're connecting your VC using a cloud gateway, connecting it up into the cloud console. That's where you're.
Well, I thought, does Plus not allow me to see my workloads in VMC also?
Not today, but that's the idea. That was the roadmap I was talking about.
So I was
the idea is,
got it.
Be able to then, that cloud console. If you are a VMC on AWS customer and a vSphere Plus customer, you should be able to see all of that together. So
my question
we should have that soon.
My question was relevant kind of backwards, but it's like, okay, so yes, everything on-prem because Plus is everything on-prem. When we introduce VMC and other cloud destinations for ESX, then CCI should be able to, target workloads to those as well when that comes.
Exactly.
Right. When my point was that's super cool because now I have one interface that I can deploy my workloads through Kubernetes anywhere where I have my cloud infrastructure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's exactly the point. So, one interface for the admin persona, the cloud console, one interface as a CCI for the DevOps kind of persona. And it doesn't matter what you're running, where you're running, it's all the same.
Right. And I'm just wondering, is that, I suppose that's kind of Python oriented, or I wonder what the programming interface language is. I know we used to do a lot of PowerShell, but now everything is going Python, where you write Python to control infrastructure. I'd have to have Kyle Reddy here talk to me about that. Right. But we'll get to that later. You don't have to answer that one.
Yeah, because I don't know.
Right. So, but that does dovetail, and I know we're at the top of the hour, so I don't know if you have a hard stop here. If you do, then we'll shut things down. But because we got a late start here, we're only 45 minutes in. But if you have a hard stop, then I'll just I'll do an end routine here and get you. Do you have a hard stop at 1 o'clock?
We can do a couple of minutes. We can go a couple of minutes over that.
Okay, all right. Yeah. So I do ask, like, coming up into next year. So this is kind of we'll end. I always ask, like, what excites you about 2023 next year, coming into the next year? I know we're just rolling rolling out 8, so that's kind of cool. Do you see anything in the industry or anything that we're doing that gets you excited, or are you just excited about making progress here?
So I think there's a couple of things. If you look at just from a VMware perspective, well, we are catching up to the industry and catching up to our customers in terms of offering everything we have as in terms of SaaS and subscription and just making it easy from a consumption perspective. So I think that's very exciting. There's a massive transformation happening, in like my group and of course across the company to make sure that we're doing that. So like vSphere Plus is the tip of the spear from that perspective to make sure that we're doing that. So I'm really excited about more and more people kind of adopting vSphere Plus and kind of realizing the benefits of it. And as you and I were talking about earlier, bringing more of these services available through the cloud console to really deliver value, because we've got cloud-based DR available now. You've got ransomware protection service available now. We've got capacity planning optimization and those kind of things available as well. At this point, when we're continuing to add more and more, on a quick cadence. So that I think is going to be very exciting. The other thing is going to be, I think, as folks go forward and see a lot more of these kind of, permeation of things like hardware accelerators, etc., coming in. I think that would be really cool to say, like, what do customers do next in terms of how they really leverage that and how they want to offload more and more things, because we want to hear from folks to say what are the use cases you really want to go after, and then we can make sure that we are kind of catering to that as well. So I think those are the couple things, and I think vSphere 8 is a fantastic release, extremely stable, because we did this new model of IA and then kind of waiting for a few weeks and then declaring GA, and so I think that helps people to see that I don't have to wait for a U1 release. I can actually it's stable enough already, and kind of VMware does that kind of the big checkbox on it. So I'm really looking forward to folks kind of adopting it and giving us more and more feedback.
Yeah, I see that, and we're all moving to the cloud, and I look at all our products, and a year and a half ago, I'd be like, I was struggling to find VMware's cloud products, right? Like, what do we actually have that's a SaaS-oriented cloud product? Now I look, and I'm not probably allowed to say this because I see internal stuff, but I look and I can't find a product that isn't cloud or that isn't SaaS. That's the whole list of products now are SaaS, all the way down, right? So that's a shift that has absolutely happened in the last year, and I mean talking legitimately, right? Not like, well, we're going to get to it or maybe. No, they're coming out. This is all SaaS-based, so I think that's an exciting time for everybody to be there. So I'm excited about that. Are you going to explore in Europe?
Yeah, I'm going to be there. I think I get there Saturday night. And so we've got a few sessions. In fact, we've got a session on vSphere 8, nice. Which we were doing a repeat of it. And just about an hour ago, they emailed me saying, this is too long of a wait list. We need to do it a third time. So we're going to do it on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So, whichever flavor works for you, go, if folks are going to be at Explore, please come and attend. There's a vSphere Plus session as well that I'm doing on Tuesday. And then, there's a few other things that solution keynote on vSphere Plus and vSAN Plus as well. So that's going to be pretty cool to see. So I'm excited about, getting in person and meeting everybody. I think the Explore San Francisco was a fantastic experience. And so I think, I'm looking forward to meeting everybody in Europe.
Yeah, I know that the reg numbers, I can't tell you the exact reg, but I know they were, 30 or 40% above target. So it's going to be a lot of people. It's going to be a lot of energy, a lot of fun. Europe is just booming. vSphere, everybody booms, and I'm super excited about it. So glad you're going to be there, and thanks for coming on the show. Yeah, we'll see you there. I will do a shout out for our listeners who aren't seeing the live stream, which very few people actually watch the video feed. If you want to go to youtube.com/vbarbecue, you can go look at what Himanshu looks like, and his Twitter handle is @Himanshu KS by the looks of it. So HIMANSHUKS. Give him a follow and say hello to him. He is on Twitter.
All right.
Himanshu, thanks for coming back again. We'll have to get you back again, vSphere 9, and one day about a giant vSphere 10 party. But
yeah, absolutely.
Till then, go get yourself some barbecue, and thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks, Eric. It was fantastic being here. Take care. Yep.